Oh, the gap got even bigger. Shocker. And I don't even get the proc. What's up, guys? It's your boy LV, and I'm going to be filming this live to explain to you guys the best updated water loadout. I did post a water guide video, which I'll show you guys, but this video I made right away as soon as they revamped it. I didn't get to fully test everything and see how it would actually work in content. But now I found out some secret sauce with it, which I'm going to explain. And essentially, I'm going to explain this whole thing as easy and simple as possible. Now, the good thing about what I'm going to explain to you guys is that the loadout that I be using, pretty much everyone can use. And I want to make something clear. The revamp that DC Universe developers did was great. The only moves that they kind of didn't do a good job with is Depth Charge, and I would say Aqua Lance. I do feel like both of these moves should have gotten buffed. Depth Charge, I feel like should have had a 2-second cooldown and should do some more damage. Aqua Lance, I feel like it doesn't need a cooldown change or an animation change, but I do feel like it should do way more damage than what it does. But other than that, I think the revamp was perfect for water. I think it really needed it. So I'm glad, and I'm hoping to see more powers revamped. Now, let's go into the loadouts and what you should be doing. First things first. Allies. So let's talk about allies. For AoE combat ally, I would use Superboy if you had the ability to get all of them. If you don't have Superboy, you can use Batman Who Laughs. But to be honest, I wouldn't put too much thought into the combat ally, especially for the hallways. This first setup I'm showing you is for the hallways. The main thing that matters is Flash. You need to have Walk It Off as your passive ally, and then Static as your second ally, which is going to give you crit chance, which is going to be very important. Now, your loadout, you're going to use Whirlpool, Nemesis Lasso, Omega Beams, Call the Deep, Water Sprouts, and Tsunami Strikes. Now, I like to use Neo Venom on that first hallway. I use Neo Venom and Call the Deep. At parking lot, when we get outside and we hit the teleporter, I like to swap out Neo Venom and put in Whirlpool. So I'll let you guys know that. You guys can kind of mess it around if you guys would like to do something different, but that's usually what I do. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you do not have Lasso, you can put in Spore Pod instead of Lasso. If you don't have Spore Pod or Lasso, then you can put in Magma Vortex. Everyone should have that. If you do not have none of the three I just said, then I would use the weapon buff and then use Starfire. If you do not have Starfire either, for some reason you don't have Starfire, you don't have Spore Pod, and you don't have Magma, for whatever reason, then I would use Bubble. Now, if you do not have Omega Beams, for some reason you don't have that artifact leveled up, I would highly recommend that you do. But for some reason, if you don't, then again, I would use weapon buff, any of the things I just showed you. But if you don't have Omega, you're going to lose out on a lot of damage. Omega is still the best artifact in the game on the hallways. At least on the hallways, it's still the best artifact in the game, especially in this raid. So you definitely want to make sure you get that artifact. But the loadout that you should have is this loadout. On the first hallway, Neo Venom. On the parking lot, this loadout. All right, that's the hallways. Now, on how to use it is very simple. You're going to go into Water Sprouts first, combo on square, Tsunami Strike. Tap, and you just go back and forth. You cancel the animation of Lasso, and then you keep going. Now, this is one thing I'm probably going to make a quick short video on to kind of explain, but the Lasso only procs and does the insane damage if the ads are under 50% health. If they're not under 50% health, it's not going to do the insane damage. So you have to make sure you time it to where you popped it after they hit the 50% health threshold. Now, here's one thing a lot of people do not know, which I'll tell you guys right now. If you guys look at, I want you guys to take a second and look at the name Spartan Target at the top. There's a man's face, a bald man's face, right? You see that his eyes aren't glowing. Now, if I'm going to show a picture right on the screen, if the ads are not glowing or the target does not have glowing eyes, that means that you can lasso them and you can one-shot them with your lasso proc if they're under 50% health. But if they aren't, then it's not going to work. But if they have glowing eyes, which I'll show you guys a picture, if they have glowing eyes, the lasso proc will not work. Now, usually all bosses have glowing eyes, and also there's a sub mini ad, or I guess you could call a sub mini boss ad, which also has glowing eyes, and lasso does not work for it. So make sure you guys are aware of that. Lasso does not work on all targets. It only works on the ones that do not have glowing eyes. Now, with that being said, on how to use the loadout, as I said, it's very simple. You're simply going combo back and forth until you build your omega. When they hit 50% health, make sure you hit your lasso, and then you keep going. If you don't have lasso, then you just use magma, and then you just use alternating magma into your rotation. Now, the cool thing about this is that you build your omega up pretty fast, and you can see the amount of damage I'm doing. It's really high. So it's really simple on how to use it. Anyone can do this. And now the cool thing about this, and I'm going to explain why you have to use this loadout and not anything else, is because what I've came to realize is that if you use what the old loadout was, or what a lot of people are using, which is this move, if you use this move right here, there's a couple problems that you have. The first problem is the fact that there's a bug. There's a bug in the game where you might weapon tap. You guys might have already ran across that problem. You guys can let me know in the comment section. But you'll try to do the weapon combo, and you just start weapon tapping, and then it stops your ability. It does that. That's one of the problems. The other problem is the fact that if the tank doesn't have everything grouped up really well, you're not gonna hit all targets. Like on these Spartan targets, don't get me wrong, you guys might get some insane damages. You know, some of you guys might be wondering, hey, why do I do so much damage on the Spartan targets, but then in content I'm not doing damage? Part of it might be just because the tank isn't grouping well. If the tank doesn't group well, then this attack isn't going to hit all of them. Now, there's another issue. Obviously, we haven't talked about the artifacts, but the artifacts is EOG, Trans, Book, Omega, and then Soul Cloak. But here's the issue. If you proc your EOG on the circle on the ground, right, but then the tank pulls the ads away from your EOG, now you got to lunge out of it. So now you're not going to be able to DPS inside of your EOG. So then you're not feeding your EOG. So then your EOG is not going to do damage. But let's say you were my loadout, my new loadout, I should say. Let's say I pop my EOG right where I'm standing. That's perfectly fine because I can continue to DPS right here. Now, there's one thing I want to tell you guys, though. It's very important that you guys know this. The way that water sprouts work, and if I'm mistaken, you guys can let me know in the comment section. But the way that water sprouts works is that you have to be close to the enemy, not super close, but close, or it's not going to do damage. But here's what's so cool about it. Water sprouts is like a 360 move, mid-range. Anything that's around you, it's going to hit anything. So even if they're behind you, you see how I'm targeting in front? Look, I'm targeting in front, right? But it's still hitting the enemies behind me. I'm not even looking at them. You guys can see this. Look, I'm hitting the enemies in front of me, but there's enemies behind me and it hits them. Now, if you position yourself good enough, you might hit both sides. You see how I'm hitting in front and back? So if you position yourself good enough, you might hit both. Now, I'm going to show you guys an example of this in the raid where I'm hitting Martian and I'm hitting Grundy, even though the bosses are nowhere near each other. This is why water sprouts is very good. And let's say there was a big spread of ads around me, especially in the parking lot. Water sprouts is going to hit all of them, while the melee move is only going to hit what's close to one another. So that's why you want to have that water sprouts 100%. You need to have that water sprouts 100%. You could maybe swing if you really wanted to. You could maybe use the melee move into water sprouts potentially. That could be maybe an alternative. But if you want to be safe, I would just use the tsunami strikes. But definitely I would recommend just literally just using the water sprouts. The main reason is just because, like I said, the melee glitches. So you can try this loadout. I might try it out as well. This for AoE, you could use both. Instead of using tsunami, you run this. But one thing for sure in the secret sauce is that you have to use that water sprouts because of that 360 range. Again, I'm not even looking at these ads and yet I'm hitting them. I'm literally, like, they're not even on my screen. Look, I'll zoom in. I'm looking, boom. I'm looking over here. Yeah, I'm still hitting them. It's a 360 move that hits anything within a 360 mid-range of you. So it's broken. That's why I'm taking very time I'm taking my time explaining it so you guys can understand it. It's very, very good both on hallways and both on boss fights, which is going to bring me to my next point. The boss fight loadout is literally the same thing. The only thing is I use Dehydrate, which is a very good move that does insane single target damage. I use Bat Swarm and I use Neo. If you don't have Bat Swarm, then you can just run Whirlpool and use that as an alternative. But I would highly recommend getting Bat Swarm, which is something I'm giving away if you guys watched the last video. So make sure you guys tune into that. But Bat Swarm or Whirlpool. Now, regards to the rotation, it's the same idea. You simply go combo after combo. Then you go into your Dehydrate. You guys can clip. As you guys can see, I clip those. And you're going back and forth. You can clip, go back and forth. Clip, go back and forth. I stack my Dehydrate. Boom. Now, what's so good about this loadout is that it's really good on single target, but it can also be AoE, as you guys can see. That's what's so broken about it. It's really good for AoE and it's good for single target. So that's basically how you use it. With regards to allies, I use John Constantine as my combat, and then I use Static Flash, still just the same. So that's basically how you use it. And then the artifacts for single target, I take out Omega and I put in Ebon. Yes, you guys heard that right. I take out Omega and I put in Ebon. If you don't have Ebon and you may have Sinestro Ring, you can put that in, or you can put in Candle in case you do not have Ebon. But those are the arts that I use, and that's how you use it. Pretty much very simple. Very simple. Honestly, anyone can pick up water. I think water is a very beginner-friendly power. Anybody can go water, and as long as you guys do what I'm doing in this video, you guys will do insane damage. I promise you, you guys will do insane damage. So make sure you guys test it out. Now, the last boss, this is specifically for Blackest Night Elite. Blackest Night Elite or Blackest Night Plus Elite, whatever the case is. I use the melee move because at that point, there's no risk of death. There's no risk of the boss moving. So I just use the melee move. But for other bosses, like first and second boss, I do not melee because you will die or you're just going to be missing your attack, one or the other. So I only use this melee ability for the last boss only. And I'm only running 3 supercharges in my loadout because I run with greens. Greens are the healer popping EOGs. When the healer pops EOGs, they give supercharge to the group in case anyone didn't know. But if you're running with a healer that does not give greens, I would definitely change this loadout. Maybe put on Starfire and put on weapon buff. You can also reset. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually put on Starfire, right? You put on Starfire. If you look at my might, I'm at 707. When I use the weapon buff, I'm at 763. If I reset it and hit it again, now I'm at 833. You can actually reset it and then you can use it 2 times. So that's another piece of sauce. So now I'm giving you guys 2 secret sauces that most people don't have. 1, you can reset your weapon buff and get it 2 times the might buff with Starfire, and 2 water sprout. So those are 2 different sauces. And then the other sauce I can give you guys a little secret is that you see this move right here as a long animation, you guys can clip it. The best thing you can use to clip it is the breakout trinket. You simply just go and clip it, and then you can go right into your next move. There's no downtime, no delay, which is going to allow you to do more damage. So that's very good for you guys to know. Make sure you guys are clipping that Dehydrate. You can clip it into your supply drop. You can clip it into your trinket. You can clip it into the breakout trinket, your cola. But try to always clip it into something. You can even clip it into your Neo Venom. Always clip it into something. That way, oh, I also clip it into bubble. See, it doesn't do the animation. Try to always clip it into something so you're not stuck in that long animation. But that's pretty much how you use it. Now I'm going to show you guys some gameplay, and I hope you guys all enjoy. If you guys have any further questions, let me know. I'm going to be making a guide video on the healing side of it soon, but I'm going to make it in a separate video. But without further ado, enjoy the gameplay, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Before I show you guys the gameplay, I do want to say I'm going against Hezi, who's a rage DPS. Now, you guys seen my rage if you guys watch my channel. You guys know how broken my rage is and how broken rage is in general. I'm also going against other water DPSs, but at the end of the day, you guys can see the comparison in damage. and you guys let me know what you guys think. GG's to everyone in the group. I appreciate all you guys for watching. If you guys do have any questions, again, always feel free to ask me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
If a nigga wants static, let him have it. Have you ever seen a mini semi-automatic? It go thumb like a drum, hit a beat blasting. When it come to that fire, I'ma fucking drag it. Huh? Nigga, this is what that jungle do. Nigga, this is what that jungle do. You been plotting, nigga, wasn't you? I should've never even fuck with you. I was walking in the rain with my Tim's on, stepping over puddles full of pain. It's a big storm. 13 on my ball mains. It's a big storm. In the club, let 'em make it rain. Like what, nigga? We don't fall with you. No, I'm all about my box, nigga. I don't trust niggas ever since I was a young nigga. Coming up, nigga. Ain't nobody show me love, nigga. So it's far.
Bro, NBA puts the green all the way up there. Why? I do not know.
Nigga, this is what that jungle do. That jungle turned me to a monster.
Shit, if only you had lasso. If only. Which this game had was what other games have, which is like the creator code shit. Fucking dope. Like, look, I'm looking at Grundy. My water sprouts is still hitting Martian. Like, you gonna tell me that's not broken? This shit is a 360 move. It's a 360 move. I think it's the only move in the game that has a 360 attack. Like, I'm literally in between, and it's still look. Water sprouts, look. It's still hitting Martian. I'm not even looking at him. Niggas is sleeping on that shit. Just gotta position yourself well.
Something about blue faces. I like money conversations. Whole lot of 20s, that's basic. Nigga, fuck it, I'm shameless. Can't fuck with a snitch, nigga. If you get caught, don't say shit. Have you ever met another nigga like me? I bet you won't say shit. I went from rag to riches, I bagged the bitches that gave me the straight face. I hit the baddest bitches.
Dude, I had the speed ring on this whole entire time. I doubt it's making that big of a difference. Oh, good. Orb. The fact I got my orb and we still haven't killed him is kind of concerning. Yo, why are you all the way at the bottom? Yeah, this is all me, by the way. I just hit 136 million, nigga. Yo, Pump, when you hit that on this last boss, I'll cash app you, boy. You never hitting that. All right, let me chill.